For those of you at home, you're going to be using Photopea for this assignment. So you can type that in to the top bar. I did post a video about using Photoshop, and some of this is similar, but there are different features in Photopea versus Photoshop. So we are going to open from our computer. If you are using a Chromebook, you are able to access your drive if your photos are there. If you are on a different device, it might be in your downloads. That's where mine is actually located. So I've opened up my Selfie. I have selected one with the mask, so I am going to work on that. We are going to change this to black and white. There are two different ways, and this is similar to Photoshop. The black and white cookie on the bottom of your layers palette, you can click on Hue and Saturation, and you're going to take that saturation all the way down to the left. Another way that you can go about doing the same thing is by going to Layer, New Layer Adjustment, Hue and Saturation. Essentially, it does the same thing. This creates a second layer. So if I hide this, my photo is still there. It's just laying on top. We are going to go to Layer, Merge Down. So now it is attached. It is not going anywhere. If I remove it, it is all one piece. The next thing we're going to do, we need to cut ourselves out. And this is a little different on Photoshop, and I will encourage you to test out a few different ways to go about this. But what has worked easiest for me is the Lasso Tool, which I never thought I would say, but yet here we are. Object selection, you can test out Quick Select and Magic Wand. I'm going to go straight to Lasso Select. We did use these on the last project, so if you have a preference, that is what you should go with. So I am going to do this a little quicker than I normally would, and of course a little quicker than I would have you work on this. As you can see, I'm making a few mistakes, but I just want to show you what it's going to look like. So now I have myself selected. I have those infamous dancing ants, or in this case, more of a dotted line. We're going to take this and we are going to add a mask. So I'm going to click on my Swiss cheese or my rectangle with a circle right on there. Another way to get to this is Layer, Raster Mask, and we're going to do reveal selection. When it comes to masking, what we're selecting we want to see, and then the background will be hidden. You can see right here in the thumbnail, the smaller version, where the white is, it's what we're seeing. Where the black is what's blacked out or hidden. We are going to keep this like so for now. I'm going to double click on the name and title this Selfie. So if you're following along, that's how I'm going to refer to this layer. It's our Selfie layer. We're going to add a new layer by going to the little piece of paper at the bottom of your layers palette, or if you like using this top menu, Layer, New Layer. Either is fine. We are going to head on over back to our toolbar, and maybe hiding underneath this gradient, we're going to look for our paint bucket. Same as in Photoshop, your color swatches can be found at the bottom. You can toggle back and forth if you have two available, and you could always jump back to black and white. If your photo is not here, you can double click. If your color is not there, you can double click and select from the color picker. For this assignment, we're going to keep this white. I'm going to click anywhere on the screen and it should fill the entire rectangle. If this does not happen, make sure you are on layer 1. If I was actually on my Selfie layer, something like this might happen. So make sure your layer 1 is highlighted. A little different than Photoshop, your layer that's highlighted is actually a darker gray versus a lighter gray. So small differences, but you need to pay attention to these. I'm going to take layer 1 and I'm going to tuck it underneath the Selfie, and I'm going to rename it BG or background, just so we know that that is our bottommost layer when we build up this layer palette. We're going to take our Selfie layer. I'm going to click on that just as a reminder, and I'm going to click on my rectangular marquee. So for this example, I'm going to select half of my face. If you don't like what you did, just click off and restart. So I have a little more than half. That's absolute, it's not fine. It's going to drive me crazy. So I'm just going to Keep selecting until I am happy with that. That looks good. So I now have that selected and it's all aligned. When we are on, actually before we do that, when we are on this selfie layer, we need to go up top to Layer, Raster Mask, and Apply. So we're going to flatten that out. So now our background is completely gone. We're going to go to our selfie layer. We're going to click on that marquee tool and we're going to slice our picture in half. I'm going to be keeping the side that I'm selecting. I'm going to go back down to that Raster Mask. It's also available on the bottom. That's quick mask mode. You can click over there. It does look the same, but it works a little bit different. So stick to where it says add raster mask. So you can either go to the bottom or layer raster mask, and we're going to reveal selection. So it is a bit easier if you just go down here. It automatically does that. Now that our face is cut in half, we're going to head to our text tool. We're going to add a quote that we have found on the internet, one that really resonates with us, one that, you know, makes us laugh. That's absolutely fine. I've added my quote. It comes up pretty teeny tiny. I am going to change it to a font that is heavy and it's pretty bold. I mean, I don't really love a font like this, but it might look kind of interesting. If you choose to pick something like that, little Star Wars, let's see. You know what? We'll try this one out for the sake of this project. I am going to align it so it's centered down my face. So if you've selected the right side, you're actually going to do a left indent. And for me, I'm going to do a right indent. If you need to space this out differently, maybe you want a word on each line, you can do that. That is your preference. If you want to go a little bit bigger, you can also do that as well. Something a little different, if you want to resize this, you need to go to your Move tool, select your text, and it doesn't let you resize the way that it would. You have to go up to Transform controls, and it will actually allow you to stretch it similar to Photoshop. And as I said in the other video, I would never want you to do this for a text assignment, but because of the nature of this project, you can go about it this way by resizing. You can either have your text flush against your face, or there could be a slight space. Click on that check mark once you are happy with how that looks. If you want to repeat your quote multiple times, that's something else that a student has brought to my attention, and you can try that out as well. I'm going to go back to my selfie layer and I am going to duplicate it. So you can drag that down to your new layer, or you can go up top to Layer, Duplicate Layer, your choice. Now, if you've been following along, we have our text, we have selfie copy, selfie, and background. So we're in great shape. Back to our selfie copy, have that highlighted, and we're going to go to Layer, Raster Mask, and we're going to delete. Okay, so we took our selfie copy, we got rid of the mask. So again, I did that under Layer, Raster Mask, and I deleted it from there. We applied it in the beginning, now we're deleting it. And there is a reason with all this bouncing around, but it will make sense. I'm going to go to my text, make sure that that is highlighted. So first thing we're going to do with the type tool, we need to rasterize it. So it's different than a raster mask. So it's actually an option right over here under select rasterize. Your T will disappear. It flattens the image. You have that black and white text happening, a little bit of a grayscale, and then you have that checkerboard. So this is going to be a little bit different. When you control click on that small thumbnail, it's going to allow you to select the pixels. That's what we're trying to do. I do not believe it is located anywhere else. I will do a little more research, but that is what I found. Control click or a right click on that small thumbnail. It's going to select this right here. We're going to go down to our selfie copy. And now we are going to mask it. Okay, when that happens, you've gone down, you can see the thumbnail, the background is blacked out, and you can actually see your text. It looks very similar. And I know this is confusing, and I know it sounds like I'm moving quickly, but you know you can pause, go back, go forward as you need to. We are going to now take our text, and I'm going to change the opacity a bit so you can start to see what's going to happen. So you're actually going to show up underneath, which is pretty darn cool. You do not have to go all the way down to 10 or 15. It depends on your quote and where it actually falls for these photos to appear. So what I'm going to do, let me click on background. I'm going to turn off my transform controls so you can actually see. If I were to do this again, maybe I would change it up because I'm missing such a big space right here. Maybe repeating the quote would be better, but I do really like the text right up against the portrait. So you're going to save this as a PSD, and you're also going to save it as a JPEG because Photopea has been giving us a little bit of trouble. So please save as both. Upload these to your Google Drive as a backup plan. Do not save them just in your downloads. Be sure when you finish, you're going to upload both to Google Classroom to make sure that you receive credit.